Okay, so here we are, ready to do the head.
Oh, yes.
So let us start by getting rid of the mirror geometry.
Exactly. So
All
I'll just undo a couple of times, and there goes the mirror.
Now for the most exciting part of the night.
Mm-hmm.
It is time to go and model the head.
Absolutely. So we're going to start off once again with a polygon cube. And there you go.
And there's our head.
There's our head. Very good. All right, so I'm going to start off working in a front view. And I'm going to add some subdivisions to this head so I can go ahead and start modeling. We'll start with a subdivision's width of 2 so that we can chop half the head off. And we'll change our subdivision's height up to 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and scale this up, make it pretty much fill the volume of the head area. And we'll keep Buzz happy this time. We won't chop the thing in half right away. We'll actually scale everything down. Just another way to go about it. And really what I'm doing, you might notice that things maybe aren't lining up perfectly on the other side, but our cube is going straight down the symmetrical axis. So what we're going to do is go ahead and model everything based off this side and just assume that this one will end up right when we mirror the geometry.
And another thing to really think about when modeling heads for games, don't try to model a head the same way you'd go about doing one for an animated short or an animated piece within Maya.
Absolutely.
You're not going for this. This is very low detail. It's going to be the texture artist's job, or your job in Photoshop if you happen to be the one putting together the textures. That's right. To make the detail appear as if it's there. But in regards to geometry detail, it's going to be very low, and you'll see that here.
All right, I'm not trying to jump ahead or anything, but just nothing we haven't already seen before as far as roughing out. We're just lining things up in a front view and then lining things up in a side view. Nothing to it, really. Actually, I think I'm going to stick that down here, and we'll move this kind of here for now. We'll add some more detail kind of as we go along.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit more detail than
just
this.
A little bit. Here's our head. Aren't you impressed? All right, so I'm going to start off. We're going to make a cut. Actually, you know what? Actually, there's something I want to do before we make a cut. Let me kind of relocate some of this detail to kind of round things out a little bit. Exactly. Which right now is just going to give her kind of a wedge-shaped face, but
of course, our face is pretty flat anyway. So yeah, you're not going to want to push it back too far.
Right. So I'm just going to make a cut down the side of our character's head. And another cut from the inside of the chin. And I'll go ahead and bring this one back to here. Okay, so more and more things happening all the time. I'm going to go ahead and go to a front view, and I'm going to switch on back face culling.
Make it a little easier to see what's going on.
Just a little. And just kind of start repositioning some of the detail that I have to, let's say, make the best use of it. So I'll pull this down to about right underneath the nose. Kind of position that in the middle of the cheek for now. I'll probably be relocating this here very shortly. Now I need to make a cut that kind of outlines the general shape of this helmet. So what I'm going to do first is make sure things are pretty much lining up with the helmet. I'm ignoring this raised part out here because we're actually going to be extruding that out, so I'm not really worried about it. In fact, I could go ahead and pull a lot of these vertices in, not that far, just to kind of give a general outline to the character's head as if she weren't wearing a helmet. That way, when we make our extrusion, we'll have the general shape of the helmet already in place. So, a lot of these vertices can be moved back. And it can be a good idea to go ahead and work in 2 views, especially when you're modeling a head, so that you can take a look at a vertex, visualize in your head perhaps where it's going to be positioned in this view, and then slide it back in Z until it's in the same spot. So let's actually put that at the inside point of the helmet. like so. In a side view, I'm going to make a single cut here, and that'll give me a vertex that I can move like so to kind of get this general outline for the helmet itself. Can slide these 2 points back a little bit. And really, all of these points across the top of the head, we're just going to kind of inset just inside the head itself. So that here very shortly, when we extrude the rest of the helmet out, it'll pretty much be in the proper position. We'll still have to do some tweaking, but it'll help out. Alright, so with that done, let's go ahead. I'm going to go to a perspective view. And we'll have a look at what we got. It's actually starting to take a little bit of shape. I mean, we can see what's going on, basically. We've got the area for the face and the helmet back here. I'm going to go ahead and slide this back to go ahead and round the head out a little more for now. Once again, I'll kind of reserving the right to keep tweaking this as we go. That's just the way modeling works. Round things out just a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and make the extrusion to get the main portion of the helmet itself. So in this particular case, I'm going to use our paint selection tool, as I did before, and we'll just kind of color over all the faces that we need to extrude. And I'm just going to pull all of these out just a tidbit, and we can double check in the viewport and kind of see how things are lining up. Things are looking pretty good in through here. We're still going to have to pull out another section of extrusion to get this raised spot around the helmet. But overall, I'm pleased with how this is going. So that looks pretty good. Let's go to a side view. Let me line my 4 view up again. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of reposition some of my vertices just a little bit so that we can create this band that goes around the helmet. And to actually create that band, I'm just going to make a cut across the top of the helmet. Let's jump to a perspective view so that I can close it properly and complete the tool. Now I'll get my paint selection tool out again. Just go ahead and run a swatch across these faces. Use the extrude tool just a little bit. In fact, we can go to a side view and kind of see how things are lining up. We will have to make some tweaks, but overall that's what we're looking for. And so now we've actually got the general shape of the helmet itself in place. There is one little thing that is kind of missing. Now, we're not really dealing with facial detail yet, but we do have this bit of a chin strap down here at the bottom of the helmet. I'm going to go ahead and get that set up so that we don't have to really worry about it later when we start modeling out the nose and the lips and the eyes and whatnot. So I'm just going to make a single cut across here. Grab these 2 pieces. I'll extrude them out just a little bit. And I'll tell you what, here's some close range detail for you. We're going to go ahead and complete this cut. We'll delete these 2 interior faces. And then I'm just going to snap these vertices one to the other. There we go. Like so. And, of course, we're going to merge them. And I have reset my distance on my merge tool up here. And just real quick, I'll show you how I did that. You can go under your shelf editor and select the merge vertices tool and edit commands. And this is actually the mel command that is run. And all I did was change the -D, that's the distance, to 1. So just a real quick tip there. So now we've actually got a chin strap suggested here in our model.
Yeah, that was, let's be honest, that was thanks to me.
That was thanks to Buzz. Yeah, actually, we practiced these right before we filmed them, and I was practicing this off, and
I just thought it looked a little bit better with the low poly, having the strap that went all the way around.
Yeah, it looked a little less like a beard, but we won't get into all that. All right, but in the meantime, we have created a little bit of redundant detail here. Nothing major. We do need a raised spot from the face to the helmet, and then from the helmet itself to this outer band here. But these faces here we don't really need, so we can go ahead and V-snap these vertices out. Select those two and merge them, and then we can pretty much do the exact same thing here. Because really, when you get right down to it, every single face that you save is going to help. Saving face. That was clever. Okay. Now, just having a look at our drawing, we've got some detail which is suggested here. Like this line here, you notice some texturing. We're not going to physically add that texture. We're going to leave that to the texture artist. I mean, they got to earn their money somehow, you know. And really, what that's going to do is allow us to keep our face count much lower, in that we don't have to add in that kind of detail. So right now, all I'm doing is just kind of tweaking things, making sure that the raised portion that we just extruded lines up properly with the drawing. I don't know, overall things are looking pretty good. We've got a little bit of an indentation here that we kind of need to deal with. And the way I'm going to do that, you'll notice here in the front view that things kind of seem to disappear here at the bottom of the cheek. And the reason for that is that this one square face is bent very strongly. And we can fix that, just make a couple of cross cuts. I'll just cut from corner to corner, and that fixes it right there. And really, all we just did was triangulate, which is something that Maya is going to be doing here in just a moment anyway. So that cleans that up. So we've got a nice suggestion for the helmet itself. I'm going to start taking some of this detail and pushing it toward the back of the helmet a little bit so we can help round things out. Maybe got a little bit of detail. It's kind of going crazy in here, so clean things up a little bit as you see it. Also, one more thing. As we made these extrusions, right now I have backface culling off, but that's kind of helping us view this. We've got some internal faces here that are right up against our seam. And those are going to get in the way when we actually try to mirror our geometry, so we need to go ahead and delete those out. Be careful, though, and don't delete something that needs to stay. Like you'll notice these faces out here are still visible because it's only the reverse side of the normals which has disappeared. So just kind of be careful as to what you're deleting. Make sure you're only deleting faces that are parallel to the seam. And that takes care of that. Now at the same time, we do need to go back in here and go to vertex mode and realign all of these vertices with the central axis, which is the x-axis. So I'm going to select all of these, click on my x-axis, hold down X for grid snapping, and just snap over with the middle mouse. Also, I did notice we've still got a face here on the inside of the chin strap that needs to go. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And our character's starting to look pretty good. I mean, we actually have a helmet here that is starting to take some shape. So let's go ahead and start adding in some facial detail.
Sounds good.
We'll start off in the front view, and I'm going to turn backface culling back on, which it seems to be. Actually, it's kind of not, because I shouldn't be able to see anything here, so I don't feel too bad about that. It's only a partial mistake. Let me actually try to switch that off, and then I'll switch it back on and see what I get. Nah. Anyway, so we'll just work around that. So we need some detail in at the lip area. Oh, I see what the problem is.
Zach's losing his mind, but I'm not going to say nothing.
Yeah, that's okay. I've done worse. So, yeah, let me go ahead and we'll just move along. I'm going to go ahead and cut some detail in for the lips and the nose area. So let me get my split polygon tool out, and we're just going to make a cut from this edge here to the outside of the lips. Press Y to restart the tool, and from the exact same point, we'll just cut here. And this is actually going to become the The top and bottom of the lips themselves.
The outermost.
The outermost
extremities
ridge
of the lip.
Oh, nice. Nice work. Okay, so actually I can go ahead if I want to and smooth shade this and turn on X-ray. That doesn't really help. It was worth a shot, though. Alright. So I'm not sure why that's there, but we'll go ahead and work around it. I'm also going to make a cut right in between these two to form the actual lips themselves. And let's go ahead and check things out in the perspective view. So we got some really basic looking lips going on.
Yeah, do me a favor. Go ahead and rotate back around it. Go ahead and kill that back.
What? Yeah, look what we got going on
there. That is what you're seeing right there.
Mm-hmm.
And see, the way it flips down inside like that.
It's actually not a back face, so it's not being subtracted. So if we pull that down, or actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to merge that thing. We don't really need it back there in the first place.
That's what I was saying a minute ago, and I said, you're losing your mind, but I thought you saw it at that point.
No, actually, I really was losing my mind, which I'm okay with. I mean, eventually...
We all do when it comes to...
At some point, everybody does, so it's just my turn. So now if we go back to a front view, everything's nice and clean.
Yeah.
Yes, let's hear it for Jason.
Who's that?
I don't know. That's Buzz.
Hey, guys.
Okay, so sorry about that. So I'm going to go ahead, and now I'm going to make a cut all the way across these lips, across this ridge we have up to the base of the nose, and then up to the underside of the helmet. So this is actually going to help us in a lot of ways. One, it's going to allow us to start moving things around, like so, to actually suggest some decent lips.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, when you're moving on the seam, only move in the Y-axis or the Z-axis. Don't actually move anything over in X. We'll relocate this to the edge of the nose. And let's go ahead and go to the side view and start shaping this stuff out. So we'll take this edge and we'll pull it out. This edge, this vertex. And we'll pull back its neighbors as well. And if we want, we can come into a perspective view and see how this is starting to look. I mean, it looks like a pair of lips.
Looks like a fish.
Yes, it looks like a fish. Okay, so
quick, get the images back on the screen.
Yes,
lips, nice.
Yeah. So now we're gonna carve a nose, and we're just gonna keep this very simple. We'll just go from the the corner here up to right in between the eyes, and maybe I'll move that up just a little more. And don't worry, our nose is going to be very blade-like at first, but that's just because we're only just now creating it. We still haven't made much detail with it. So all I'm going to do is grab this vertex and pull it out. Now using my my split polygon tool, I'm going to make another cut from that corner to just above that, and that'll help me round this nose out just a little bit, or at least in this direction. Still got some more rounding left to do. Just line things up so they look halfway decent. And now we can make a cut actually from the inside of the nose across, and we can go ahead and use this detail later for the eyes. So I'm just going to end that there, and we'll put it to good use here in a minute. But this detail we can take and just pull forward in Z and actually round the nose out. And if we want, we can test this real quick by mirroring the geometry, which is not a bad idea just to see how things are starting to look. And so we can undo that. Maybe this vertex here is just a little bit high, so we'll tug that down so it doesn't have quite the hawk nose.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
All right. And press F8 and we can mirror again, and looking much better. Remember, we are just trying to keep things very simple. More or less, we're just trying to suggest a nose and eyes and whatnot and the lips so that the texture artist can go in there and actually color those in. Because as much as you like to admit it, how often are you going to be staring at faces in Unreal? Just long enough to snap off a headshot. Alright, so that one vertex that we placed here in the middle of the shape is actually pretty much right where we need it to begin an eye, so that was a good call.
Nice.
Maybe that'll make up for that backface culling thing earlier. No. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take this cut, and I'm going to end it all the way up here in this corner, which right now looks like it has nothing to do with the eye. But now I'm going to make a second cut that just wraps right back around to this, and now I can just start relocating vertices and start suggesting an eye. So pretty simple. We can go into the side view and kind of start modifying this a little bit. So we'll just kind of compensate in between the eye shapes shown in each view. In a front view, I'm going to make one more cut just across the front of the eye, just to give us a vertex here at the very center that we can tug out just a little bit, kind of make a rounded area for the eyes themselves. So we could, the texture artist could paint a rounded eyelid and eyeball.
It's starting to look a little bit like a face.
I know, isn't it creepy? Now we'll pull this cheek bone out up just a little bit, not too much, because if we pull it up a great deal, we could really deform our face. But maybe just a little bit there to kind of give her more of a cheekbone look. But not that much.
Whew. Just wondering.
You rotate that thing around, it's like dangerous. Okay. So that's pretty good, just to keep things a little rounded. Anyway, moving right along. So we got some detail going on back here for the top of the head. Maybe more than we need. We're not going to argue that point just now. I'm going to go ahead and anchor this cut here at the corner for now. And let's go ahead and work out a ponytail for her. So what we need to do, first of all, is take a face, and some of you might have guessed that we're going to do this with an extrusion, and if you did guess that, you're absolutely right. But first I'm going to scale this down just a tad, not to where it deforms anything too much, but just so we get a better shape for the ponytail that we're going to be pulling out.
Yeah, I will request a modification here as well. I don't like that little flip up on the end of the old hairdo there.
This little thing here?
Yeah, it'll end up looking like a skunk's tail or something.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Derek about that next time he comes through.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We can work right past that. Now, what I just did was make a single extrusion just to get us started before we actually start forming the hair piece itself. Just something to kind of shrink down our selection area. Now, just something to keep in mind, as we extrude, we are making internal faces. Now, that's going to bite us a little bit. We'll just have to delete those out and make sure we keep everything aligned. Before I go any further, though, sorry about that, I'm give everybody epilepsy. I'm going to make sure that I don't make things too hard on myself. I'm going to go ahead and delete that first internal face. And let me just switch back culling off for a minute, just to make this a little easier to see. And I'm going to go ahead and get everything as aligned as I can so that when I make my extrusion, we don't pull away from the center axis. That's just going to save us a little bit of trouble later. We can do this in perspective. If we know some of these points are already on the central axis, we can just point snap them in X using V. And that'll bring them right over, unless they're already too far over, so we'll just do it from the grid to be safe. What do you say?
I say excellent.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and grid snap everything over, and now everything's aligned just right with what we need. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our extrusion for the ponytail. We'll just grab this single face, and in the side view, I'm going to hit extrude. We'll go into world mode, and I'll just extrude straight up. What do you think? Nice hairpiece?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice, yes.
Impressive. Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to use the Cut Faces tool and just make a series of quick cuts. I'll reserve the right to make more, but this is just enough to get us started. And I'll just start using my Move tool, and this is going to look kind of confusing at first, but just bear with me, and you'll see where we're going really quickly. So we'll pull this down to here. Really, all I'm doing is following the inner line of the ponytail. I'll pull out the next one, and now it starts to take shape. All right, and we have a very simplified ponytail, but that's exactly what we're going to need for running this in the game. And yes, we did kind of omit the little bob at the end of it.
Yeah.
But to make it look a little better, because right now it is very blocky, we can make a cut here from this corner all the way down the length of our extrusion and across over to the seam. And then we can take this and grab all of our vertices on the outer edges like so. Let's go ahead and grab the ones out here as well. And just move these in X, and that'll round out our ponytail. In fact, maybe at the end we could fatten it up a little bit. Like there's a good chunk of hair back there.
Yeah.
And there we go. So here's a nice, simple head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's what that's the key.
That's right.
Keep things simple. So let's go ahead and mirror it, see how things are looking. It's a good way to check our seam. Little bit squashed up here. We can take care of that, but let's go ahead and give the thing a quick rundown. It looks like we've lost our seam back here. You might notice back behind the ponytail, maybe if I go into wireframe, it's a little easier to see that we've got a split in the seam back there. Now there's a couple of ways we can fix that. One, we can make sure that all of our vertices are still on the central axis, or we can just go ahead and mirror them over, and when we're done, merge all the vertices. I'm going to go with the former, and we'll just grab all of these vertices and X-snap them over. Actually, notice a couple of them move. And let's mirror everything back over just to test. So now everything's nice and clean. So I'm also thinking I'm going to pull this forward to kind of round out the top of the head right there. Pull this one forward a little bit as well. And now let's kind of widen the head up. Now the drawing itself might not suggest this widening in the head, but we're at that stage where we just need to make the thing look good.
Yeah, Derek went a little skinny there.
That's okay. It's still a great drawing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we'll go ahead and slide this out. Let's also kind of grab some of these vertices out here, and we'll just pull them out a little bit. Probably not a bad idea to keep mirroring to test things out, and that in itself looks a lot better than it did a minute ago.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to put a lot of detail around the eyes. Once again, that's for the texture artist. So if you're thinking the eyes are looking really funny, that's because they're not textured yet. That's pretty much how they need to look. Because really, if you think about how complex the area of an eye is, we could sit there and just add detail over and over and over for hours. And all we're really doing is slowing down our model. So, let's see. This is all looking pretty good. Let's undo the mirroring. And I think that's pretty much going to do it. Let's go ahead and set things up to connect the neck.
Okay.
Just kind of have a look at what we need. It's not a difficult thing to connect the neck. In fact, it's actually quite simple, but we do need to make sure everything is prepared and that everything is right where it needs to be. So let's check the underside of the head and kind of look for the hole that we have to attach this. We're going to have to make a hole, obviously. And I'm noticing some stuff here already. You can kind of see some of this redundant detail. Let's go ahead and kill that. Just while we're here, while we can see it, and while we're thinking about it. Just go ahead and run a merge. And run a merge. Anything to help our face count up. And I'll go ahead and delete my history right here, just because it's starting to get rather extensive. Alright, so we need our neck to go from pretty much the back of the head to, well, if we go to the drawing and actually look, right about this area. So let's go ahead and get the detail in place that we're going to need. I'm going to go to vertex mode and go ahead and move these vertices back to where the neck needs to begin. And as an option, I can slide these forward and move these up so where I know where the neck is going to end as well. Then take this single vertex and move it back to get it kind of back where it belongs, so to speak. And this will also help round out the neck itself. So as you might have guessed or you might have noticed, we're kind of shooting for a 3-sided hole, or once it's mirrored, a 6-sided hole to create the neck from. And if we look here at our model, what we'll end up having is just a 2-sided hole because of the number of edges we have here at the seam. That's not a problem. There's actually a very easy fix for that, and a couple of ways to go about it. The simplest way would be to make a single cut across to here, and then we can slide some detail around, and quickly we've developed a 3-sided hole. Now we could tweak that and make it into pretty much whatever we needed. Instead, what I'm going to do is actually take these two faces out entirely. There we go. Thank you, Maya. We'll go ahead and knock those two faces out, and then right here in the center of our head, we can just quickly add one more edge, and now things are going to line up perfectly. Now there is one minor detail to our character that we're missing. Nothing major, nothing we can't cope with, but it's actually something Buzz pointed out to me a minute ago, and I just kind of gave him a hand motion like I'll take care of it in a minute. So I guess now that minute has arrived, we need to add an ear.
We call it an ear.
Yes, as I stutter and stumble through that. Alright, so we're going to add an ear. And this is actually where we get to use that really cool wedge faces tool again that I mentioned a long time ago in this VTM. What we're going to do is we're going to make an extrusion here on this face and just shrink everything down. Then we'll take our vertices we just created and kind of give them a squarish shape. If we want to, we can go into the side view and kind of see where things are being placed. If we want to make a little more room so that this ear, I just can't talk tonight, is being placed a little more correctly, we'll do that. In fact, I'll tell you what let's do. Let's go ahead and I'll grab some of this detail that we're not going to need. We'll go ahead and get it merged. Yes, Zach suddenly realizes he could have just made a couple of cuts to do this. But that's okay. In fact, that's perfectly acceptable as long as you figure it out and in the end you don't bog your model down with too much detail. So I'm just going to make a single cut across here and check things out. So really, if you look, we've just kind of outlined the shape of our ear itself. So I'm going to come in here and select this one face for the ear, and I'm going to right-click, select Edges, and under Edit Polygons, I'm going to go to Wedge Faces. And really, all we just did was we have a wedge. We'll crank the angle out a little more, give us one more division, and really quickly, we have all the detail we need to pull out an ear. So I'll go to Edge Mode. Let's say we take this edge here. Let's pull it up in Y. Out a little bit in X. Not too much. We'll just go ahead and pull this edge down just a little bit. Nobody's really going to notice. And we have a very simple suggested ear.
Yeah.
Coming out of the side of the helmet. Alright, so back in our perspective view, getting back to the neck, right where we left off, like nothing ever happened. Let's go ahead and just attach these. We'll go into Object Mode. Actually, I'll go into Face Mode and delete this face that I meant to get rid of a second ago. Much nicer. Now we'll go into Object Mode. We're going to select both of these, go to Polygons and Combine. And now, once again, it's just a matter of using our Pen to Polygon tool. And we have an instant basic neck. So, nice, quick, and easy. Let's go ahead, before we add in any detail, let's tweak this a little bit to make it look a little nicer. Bring some of these vertices in to kind of round this out. Also, it's a good idea to check your drawings, or you notice our neck's kind of going way out here and it's all wide like some kind of bodybuilder, I guess. So we'll pull that in. That looks much cleaner. And just for animation's sake, I'm going to make one more cut across the neck, so in case her head turns or something, it won't deform it too much. And if we like, we can also tweak some of this detail as well to add a little more natural rounding to the neck itself. And there we go.
All right.
So let's go ahead and mirror the whole thing out, and just to get one more last look at our seam, see if we missed some place or there's something that we need to pull back to the x-axis, and it doesn't look like there is.
That's pretty good.
So we've actually got our character's head in. We've got it attached to the rest of the body, and just to check things out, right now we're weighing in at 1,268 polygons.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and just, as a test, let's triangulate this.
Okay.
Just see what we get. So right now she's coming in at 2386.
Not bad. We're under our 2500.
Absolutely.
And we can still do some more cleaning and optimization. We've got the hand, the right hand, take care of, and that's going to drop things down a little bit more, and some other things. But let's go ahead and undo a couple times. Let's kill off some history.
Absolutely. We do have plenty of it, so we'll go ahead and kill all our history out.
And that's going to pretty much wrap up what we wanted to get accomplished in this lesson here, which was just getting the head in place and attached to the body. So at this point, we really have a completed character.
Yeah, the model's pretty much done. Now we're just tweaking things.
Yeah, but we've got some more things that we can do to kind of make this look a little bit nicer, and we'll take a look at that in the next lesson.
All right.
So thanks, everyone.